Welcome, guys, to the Nerd Street Gamers Rocket League $1,000 Summer Champs Qualifier. This one to get a spot in that huge tournament later this summer, and I know these teams are going to be competing for it. I'm Soap. With me is Spaceman, filling in for Vaudable, who unfortunately kind of got caught up today, couldn't make it, but bringing in one of the best to sub him in. So, Spaceman, glad to have you with me today, man.
Thanks, man. It's good to be here. I love Vod, and I feel bad that I have to take his place for today. But yeah, it's awesome to be here. And once again, Nerd Street just continuing to put on support for Rocket League at all levels. And I've seen some of the action this weekend, and I spoke with Vaudable a little bit about how the event's going. And everyone's a big fan, and I am as well. I love what Nerd Street puts together, and we got a bunch of good teams in this bracket. So let's see who makes their way to the championship and the grand finals tonight. I'm excited.
Yeah, and I'm really excited for this. And again, this is for the qualification. The big tournament, I think, at the end of the summer is, I believe, a 10K pot on it. It's a lot of money. So you want to be able to qualify here. And, of course, this one, no slouchy, the $1,000 prize pool every week. I mean, plenty of money on the line for these players. We always come out with some great games. And you tend to get one or two really high-level players at least drop down and participate in this. And you can see right now, Megto's forming his own team for this. I think it's going to be the first game that we see. So tell us what I'm kind of excited about that. So tell us a little bit about, what you expect to see here.
Yeah, I mean, we got a couple of notable rosters here, but really the ones that stick out, obviously, Mektos Esports, Mektos is on the team. Yeah. Mill, who has been in the bubble scene for a very long time and who has had a majority of his playing career has been through large exposure. We have seen him not only in bubbles and tournaments, but in ones as well, and he has found ways to get himself ingratiated with the pro scene, respectively, where players like Mektos can come down and help him kind of build his cachet. I'm looking forward to Mektos. I'm also looking forward to Stockton. We understand that their university has a huge esports program, and they have found ways to kind of cycle through and churn out roster after roster, but they still find ways to find success, which is huge. And Dark, who a lot of people are fans of, I am as well. I love his play style. So I'm interested in Stockton, interested in Mektos, Mirage, who I saw last time in Rivals Series last year when they had a very different roster, but still an organization that's keeping themselves involved in the Tier 2 scene of Rocket League, so there's just a lot on the plate for us tonight, and we get to see a couple of different matchups early on. But what about you? What are you looking at, and what's catching your eye early on in the bracket?
I think, you hit the nail on the head. Those are the guys that I see as some of the ones to come out and do a lot. But I'm looking at a couple of teams here. Blicky was a team I saw with some guys on it, Dinks Caruso. Sure. I saw Aris as a sub. I've seen them several times, could make a run here today. And I think it's going to be interesting. Only 12 teams in this group stage for this one. Typically, we have 16. So that means two of these teams are going to come out with a bye, which is going to really put them into the semifinals and into the money already. So, it's going to put a little bit more of an emphasis, I think, on the early stage of the bracket more so than normal. You don't want to just qualify in through the lowers and get that reset in. You want to try to come in through the top side so that if you auto-qualify for the semis, you're guaranteed some money. So, very, very important to come into this with your A game.
Yeah, and it's big to have a double elimination bracket. Obviously, you get a second life, which is huge for players who come out on not so much of a hot start. But you just look kind of at the quick matches we have to start the day. You got Group A: Stockton, Venom, Mektos versus Capstone, and I believe we will be jumping into Mektos and Capstone to kick off the broadcast. And then as we move on and on, we start to whittle away at some teams. But there are situations where even if you lose your first series, you're not out of this by any stretch. Then you got Mirage in Group B playing Quantum Black, Leafs selling bread. So there are interesting perspectives here, especially for Mirage and Stockton early on, where we have our favorites, we have our predictions. Only question is, will that really pan out? And I hope that we see some upsets tonight.
Yeah, I definitely do. And going back to that Mirage, it's good. We were just talking about before the event happened. Good to see Mirage kind of back in the Rocket League scene. Had great success in rival series. Their players kind of got picked apart, moved on, and are still in the RLCS really, and had great success there. So glad to see another roster under that banner of the Mirage side, and hope to see them make the same success and push up into the highest levels of play. And maybe a good way to start that today is having a great showing here in this Nerd Street Gamers Summer Champs qualifier.
And there's been so many of these qualifiers and championships that have gone throughout all seasons. It's really been following the same kind of mirror match that the RLCS has put on, where you have winter championships, which we had happen near the end of November, beginning of December. Now we move into the summer part. And again, there's just more opportunities for players to get involved. These are one of the best ways to get your name out there, to get people like us to look at your gameplay and to possibly get scouted. This very much is a talent show for a lot of players. And, you can get put on the map. There are people like Vossinator, people like Vigil who competed during the winter championships, and now they are currently some of the most prospected young talents coming up into Rocket League. So there's plenty of ways to get involved. Make sure you head over to nerdstreetgamers.com and nerdstreetgaming.com and find your way into how the tournaments work. See if you can sign up with some friends. You never know what you're going to be playing for. And again, $1,000 on the line tonight. This whole weekend's been fantastic, and this just means that you're setting yourself up for a huge championship week going into the rest of the summer. I'm excited for that. But you got $1,000 on the line. That's a month of rent, right? So there's a lot here for these teams to play for. But here's kind of the format how we have tonight. We got 4 best of 3s and then 3 best of 5s. Those best of 5s will continue on to the upper part of the bracket, and that really is where we sit. We will wait to whittle away some of our teams, and here's your qualifiers. It was 64 double elimination bracket, best of 3 till we got to top 8. That's where we sit now. And like we talked about before, 4 best of 3s and then 3 best of 5s. It's going to be a gauntlet here, man. Yeah,
it really is. It definitely is a gauntlet. It's like we say, I like the format a lot. You were just talking about the double elimination, especially in the double elimination groups. You get a chance to maybe lose a quick game earlier and then come back out, and then you get to redeem yourself because you get that gets erased for that full single elim final bracket there for the best of 5. And especially getting with those buys coming out, it really does. It gives you a chance to come out a little bit slow and still have a chance to recover. But like we were talking about, that's not what you want to do here. You want to try to secure one of those buy spots, especially if you're suited to get it, so that you can, again, get into that money. And the money, very well divvied out. It tends to be, I think it's $600 for first place, usually $300 for second, and then $100 for the third place team. So great distribution there. You got to put the money in the top seed, right? Like if you finish and win the tournament, in my opinion, you need to get the lion's share of it. So I love that Dirt Street always does that.
Yeah, but listen, $200 is not bad for a day's worth of work. You find a way to close out the tournament tonight. You got some rep in your resume, and now you got some money to go with it as well. But yeah, this is going to be a bit of a gauntlet because, like you mentioned just a couple of seconds ago, the best of 5s, you have a little bit of more time to kind of come off on an uneven footing. But when you start with best of 3s here, even in the early rounds of the group play, you need to make sure you come out on all cylinders, because the worst thing you want to do is lose a game, and then you're playing a best of 1. You have to make sure you come out and show that you are warmed up for the day. Last thing you want to do is lose that first match, but the pressure will be on for a lot of these players. But for our first matchup, we got Mektos and Capstone, and I think kind of the big pull here obviously is in the namesake. Just on paper, Mektos is the captain of his team, and I'm very excited to see what Mill does and how Mektos kind of acts as an IGL and directs traffic upfield. But what are you seeing for this first series that we have tonight?
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting. This is seed as a 2 and 3 seed right here. These are guys that are going to be pretty close. But like you said, Mekto's probably going to be trying to dominate a lot of that game. But, you tend to sometimes see when you have players that tend to be a little bit better than everyone else that have played at pro play come down and play with other teams, there can sometimes be some chemistry issues, right? Because they're so used to playing with, he's used to playing with that ghost rusher. He's used to guys being in a certain position, hitting the ball a certain way, being a little bit more positionally aware, which tends to be the difference there, I think, from that bubble side to the RLCS is being so much more secure on your defensive end and making sure that you're positioning around. So sometimes you can see a little bit of a clash like that. So I think if Capstone wants to come out with, again, this is going to be a name that they're going to recognize and it's going to strike a little bit of fear in them, they've got to come out and be like, look, all right, they're probably going to make some mistakes because they're definitely not going to have the chemistry that we can have by having a history of playing together. So we got to capitalize on those early, get you an early lead, get a little tilt in the other team, and hope to really kind of strike and get yourself up into that upper side of the bracket.
Yeah, I think that you bring up an interesting point. And let's kick off the start of tonight with our first match again, Mektos and Capstone. And what I really want to hit home is what you talked about with sometimes these players dropping down, whether it was they're in a bubble or rivals or RLCS, and they play with just a random group of three, even Mill having some chemistry there. But it's not always going to pan out to just an immediate win. And what I would like to see players do, especially in tournaments like this, don't ease up. Don't overthink how Mektos is going to play. Like, bring the pressure to him. Because at that point, it's still three members on the other side of the field, and if you keep putting pressure on the ball, you're going to have to force Mektos to take over, and if you can't do that, you're going to have an easy time on the field. So yeah, I feel like players tend to just overthink when they see a current pro on the field, and maybe you need to do the opposite.
Yeah, maybe they do, but Leaky's going to come in really quickly right here. He's another player, I mean, has been in and around this highest level of play, and you can see him cheating up right here, gets a great 50-50, hooks it up over the top of the speed to get it into the net. Going to take a quick 1-0 lead for Mektos Esports here.
And also do the opposite of that. Don't let the ball get behind your backline defense. That's probably the worst possible scenario. But when you're starting off Rocket League games, especially in best of threes in the first one, you've got to establish rhythm. The personality will come later. The demo comes quickly. And Mektos makes it 2-0. And you don't want this game to snowball out, especially in the beginning of game one.
Yeah, and right now you can already see getting a little bit off form on that kickoff. Got a little bit panicky, I think. Getting one goal behind, trying to settle themselves down a little bit, and already the composure here from Mektos Esports. They're showing their calm, they're showing their confidence in the roster that they have right here, and taking a quick 2-0 lead.
Really just looking for ball control. I mean, you talk about kind of the stage ones of Rocket League, bank down, still not going to find its way in. And this is a chance where counterattacks can be huge. Would love to see them try to maintain position at midfield, try to set up some offense. Infield passing is always difficult, but if you can get it going early, it opens up creativity down the line. For now, though, just looking for their first goal. That one banks off the upper 90 and ricochets out. Hill will careen and reel it in. And Mill now going to extend downfield, looking for Leakies, but he won't be in position. Regardless, though, it was a good counterattack down the field. Just need to make sure you hold on to possession a little bit more.
Yeah, you definitely do here, but I'm already liking what I see from Capstone right here, adjusting a little bit. You know, they've been caught out in transition twice, but that time after their offensive presence, they were able to come back, get the transition defense into play, and now going back the other way here. Infield pass coming across a little bit out of the reach for Kaiju, but he's up, trying to follow this one up, but he can't quite get to it. Mill deals with it well and uses that flip to just keep it going and get some space there for Mektos Esports on the back end.
Kaiju in a great position. The follow-up, though, will be taken away by Leaks, and you're seeing a lot of backboard pressure early, which is good because there's really three different ways to play on offense: corners, backboard, midfield. If you can get them all three working in tandem, you got a good offense, but most times you'll see players panic and pick one at random. It looks like the backboard might be working. Now we go back to the opposite end. Leaks with no boost, still somehow keeping the ball alive, and Mektos will have to fall back to midfield. Numbers advantage on the power break, and that's a great demo on the line to cut the lead in half.
Yeah, very great control right here. You can see Mektos kind of misses this one, and then Kaiju takes it slow. He recognizes he has a player in front of him. Like you said, has that power play, waits on the demo, which a lot of times you see people get a little bit antsy and try to push it right behind their teammate. Give your teammate a chance to create the play for you, to open up that space, which is exactly what he did there to bring this back within one here as we're getting close to that halftime marker in this first game.
Yeah, and one of the easiest ways to really establish a rhythm as a team when you're getting outshot is to make sure you start thinking about how you're playing against the defender. So it's not just man-to-man defense, not just on ball, but get physical. Go for demos, go for bumps. If you miss your hit, follow into the play and try to take someone out of their lane. You see it there, and it works out for a goal, and I like that commitment and the quick audible they were able to call. With about 2 minutes to go here, we've gone through half of game one. Again, this is all best of threes until we get to the upside of the bracket and we move our way through groups. Then we go to best of fives to finish the night. So Mektos in a decent position currently, but Capstone have done a great job of responding late. Now we'll see what their end game pressure can look like.
And we'll see here. Is this going to be a breakaway? Gino might be able to get there, and he does. He puts it right in front of Mektos. I like that, not keeping it on the near post, maybe giving him a chance to get to it. Just puts extra power on it right in front of his car so he doesn't have a chance to block it. And we're going to have a tie game here with 2 minutes left, and the patience from Capstone, getting down early, but now not panicking on it, right? They panicked a little bit there at the start, but they started to get their confidence back. They started to be able to get the rotations in behind them and deal with this. And like you said, using those bumps, using those demos to mess up the rotations here for Mektos Esports and getting a couple of chances here on the back end is now Mektos trying to make something happen himself towards the left side of the field. Mill up on it. He gets it past Kaiju. This could be a chance. It could be a one-on-one situation, and Gino has to just pop it up over the top. The pressure is not over yet. Mektos Esports keeping it going right now as Mill takes it up. He's got Mektos in support. He's looking for him. The pass is there towards the middle, but it's well met, and staying alive right now is Capstone.
I would love to know what Capstone's comms currently sound like, because if they're smart, they'd understand that Mektos, with the lead, they'll just pop the ball away and try to keep it out of your hands. So this is when you put the pedal down on the gas. And for Capstone, you have to start moving upfield. You got about 1:20 to go, still a little bit on the clock, but not a lot of time. Games end very quickly when you're trading back the ball, and possession is basically just ping pong. Now we go to the corner. You're looking for possession. You're looking for time on the field. Mektos circling back down will give the ball away. Leaky's, again, will try to keep it alive. And it's small chip hits like this that just continue to kill the ball to the corner and keep everyone else from Capstone off of midfield. And from there, you're struggling to get possession. They have not been able to clear this ball away.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the tools that you see compared to like lower level Rocket League, and you're talking about high level play, bubble level play, pro level play. As a shot comes in, what a pass up the ceiling. The Leaky's here, as you can see, that pressure you were talking about finally pays off. Mektos on the back end plays this up to himself, sort of gets a minor pinch off the ceiling, and Leaky's just beats everybody to it for the goal to get them the lead. But that pressure you were talking about, using the corner as an offensive weapon rather than the defensive one that you see at lower plays, right? You're keeping it in the corner because you know it's not a great spot as the defense. Sure, you're not going to shoot from the corner, but you're also not going to get any kind of offensive transition coming out from there either. And that's exactly what Mektos Esports did, using that very well to just keep hammering down the boost as they get a save here carried across the map. But Capstone not going quietly.
Yeah, and the corners are used really to not only ensure that the boost starve continues, but you have to cover so many different angles through the corner. You have to be able to meet the ceiling, you have to be able to meet the aerial challenge, meet the wraparound towards the net, meet the lower right post. There is so much you have to worry about with very little boost. They were clearly boost starved, and now it comes down to one long clear game. Can they get it downfield? Yes. Is anyone in position to follow up? Not at the moment. 4 seconds to go. Leaky's just going to kill the time. Flip reset there all the way down. It will touch. However, it's kept up. Here comes Mill, and there we go. Spike it for a Game 1 win. Best of 3 starts off with a Mektos victory, and they get the first round here on the board. Now just need one more game to continue on.
Yeah, phenomenal stuff right there. I really like what we saw from both sides. You know, you came out strong. Mektos Esports came out the exact way that we thought they would, right? They came out using their mechanics, using the pro player that they have on their team to try to dominate a lot of the game. But the answer from Capstone was, I mean, it came back with all that you wanted, right? And they had a chance there at the end. I think they were going for a bump play on that long clear up high in the air. They couldn't quite get there, but still the chances were there for them. And, you know, giving up 3 goals is pretty normal in Rocket League. It's not like they got blown out, and they were tied right there until the end of it. So you've got to feel really good about your chances if you're Capstone. It's not looking like, you know, a blowout like a lot of people that just maybe tuning in might be thinking that you would see when you see a name like Mektos on a team.
Yeah, that's the takeaway for me, is it was only 3 goals. You didn't get outshot. Numbers-wise, yes, you did, but you didn't get outplayed consistently. There wasn't a lot of follow-up offense from Mektos. It very much was individual plays down the field at isolated times. So that's the big takeaway for Capstone, is that they played relatively good Rocket League throughout 4 minutes and 30 seconds, but those last 30 is where things really crumbled. Yeah. And again, you have to be able to clear the ball from the corner. You're going to get boost starved, and if you can't get booming clears and reestablish some respect from the offense and the defense on either side, it's going to be difficult to be able to continue to evolve the offense over the length of the series. Let's get into game number 2. I'm very interested to know how Capstone are able to adapt, and maybe what kind of audibles they call as we go into this next game.
Right, and I think, like you said, it has to start on that back end. You've got to be able to get some space down the corner, because we've talked about bumps and demos and throwing off the rotations and making the play harder for them. But if you don't have space in your back end to do it, you know, it's impossible to do. You can't pull it off without leaving your net wide open. So going to have to break it out here, but not starting off great as 2 shots going to come in. Mill's going to be blocked out, though, on the second follow-up attempt. Now Leaks going to go towards the back net, and Kaiju has to take this one kind of awkwardly towards the corner. Mektos meets it well. A bump out. This could be a shot attempt. That's a tough angle, and Mill couldn't quite get it down. That would have been a phenomenal angle right there. It would have had to be like 2 degrees on that shot to put it in.
And the most dangerous times to score a goal is right after someone else attempted one on those counterattacks. You can fly down the field, and this is a great chance. The demo leads way to a power play, 3v2, back to full strength for Mektos. and they're able just to punch the ball right back to the opposite corner. So now you have to work through midfield together.
Oh.
Unfortunately, that hit will not help. I think he was trying to avoid the bump, but Kaiju has to recognize that one is flying up, and you need to at least push that ball towards the center of the box if you want any chance to save it away.
Yeah, he does. And I think right there it started with a little bit of a panic touch from Kaiju where he didn't get the touch on the ball out of the corner that he wanted. Then he had to try to recover at the same time looking at the bump/demo coming in on him, and he got a little bit lost in all the action right there, got a little bit overwhelmed, and unfortunately for him, no one back to help bail him out, and that's the first goal for Mektos Esports.
Yeah, just fighting for possessions into these corners. Mektos, they're doing a great job of keeping the play interesting, keeping the ball up and just in play. It's forcing a lot of boost to be burned for Capstone, which isn't translating to moving the ball down the field. They're not advancing as an offense. It's very much lateral, which, again, it works when you're turtling up, but you would like to see a little bit more aggression and commitment to the play, as that one just spikes its way out and jets to the opposite side. Mektos will be able to circle on in, but instead thinks twice about the engagement. Reads the defense perfectly. Offense right now for Capstone not really there, as they are trying to figure out how they find one another.
Yeah, they are, and they're getting met on a lot of touches that I think that they're used to getting respected. You can see this Mektos Esports squad is coming up and challenging those, making sure that they don't get anything really going early, but that's the exact challenge you need right there coming out from Kai. He's trying to get it going towards their orange side here. This one's going to be pumped up. Kai again trying to follow it up. The speed from Mektos Esports to reset this back into the orange half, and they're all just going to take a moment, get back, get some boost, and see if they can't start an attack again. A little bit cluttered on the side here from Capstone, and that's an errant touch there. Spaceman really didn't do a whole lot for the squad. It had to be Kaiju just coming in to bail that one out, and I would like to see a little bit more purposeful touch from them to keep the offense going.
Yeah, they're really trying to focus on pulling one defender up and then pushing them into the net to find demos and bumps, and that works great, but you need to make sure that there's a purpose when the person running point has the ball, because right now it's pretty much just empty calorie hits, and you're looking for that demo, but it doesn't link to one another. It's very much just two different sides of an offensive push that need to have more intent behind them. Currently, Capstone have 2 minutes to play. A lot of time, cherry picking downfield. There's a chance. Couldn't get the redirect. It was an open net, and it's a more difficult shot for a lot of players to hit, but certainly one that with that much space, you got to look back at that and say, yeah, maybe we should have capitalized a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing in the margins here when you're playing at this level of play. You've got to hit those shots. So, unfortunate for them that they're not able to get it going here, but now getting a little bit of space, trying to keep it going. Mill cuts it out. A shot towards the net. It's going to be a pass, actually. Kai gets another attempt on it, but the block's coming out. Mektos and Mill keeping the game scoreless right here. Great defense from them, but Capstone waking up a little bit on offense, getting some threatening attempts here towards the net.
Probably would have liked to put that bottom left post, and even on the diving save, you don't really get a car on that ball, but instead goes dead center of the net, and that's easily read by Mektos. Best case scenario for them. And what more do? They push the ball back into the orange half. They have complete field control right now at the midfield line. A lot of boost for Mektos. However, he will burn some, puts it back towards the net. Long clear. Kaiju already downfield, off target on the hit. Would have loved to put that dead center, and you got Gino working through the opposite side. And these are plays that usually work out and keep the offense in the blue half, but they've just been a little bit off target with their accuracy, and that's not led to much, as one will come through and Leaky's misses, but with a minute to go, things are looking good for a Mektos win.
Yeah, they are right here. As Mill's going to miss this one. This could be costly. Leaky's is the only one back. Double attempt on the 50, and now that's going to leave the back end a little bit weak. Mektos is just going to flick it over the top. Not a lot of boost here. Tries to follow it up, and he's going to have it, but it goes to the crossbar, and not down and in, but down and out. Unfortunate for him, as he had some space there and made a proper play, but just missed by inches.
Kaiju. Worried for a minute and thought we were going to watch that ball roll in. 30 seconds to go. They're getting demoed. This is going to be dangerous. Now you got to play turtle up defense and clear it. There it is. They'll escape down, avoids the demo. Popped up for anyone. Commitment needs to be there for Capstone. I don't know if Kaiju had boost to be able to recover on the rebound. I don't think he did. But now we need to see a lockdown possession and keep it on the ground. Mill extending. Here's your chance. You can fly down the field and try to find one. Gino self-serving, popped up. Not the greatest of touches. Right back down. Kaiju can't do anything with it. And it was a great idea, but very, very poor execution, and that just means that Mektos are going to take the series 2-0, and they'll win the first best of 3.
Yeah, great stuff from them, and you got to say that I thought that they really dealt with adversity well, because Capstone came back, they tied the game up, and they held them to 1 goal there in the second game. So very impressive performance from Capstone against a team that I think we both were expecting to come out with a lot of offensive firepower. Holding them to 4 total goals in 2 games is a win for them. They just have to figure out where their offense is going to come from as they're going forward in the bracket, because right now the defense is looking okay. Like, at least from a scoring perspective. Not necessarily in possession. We both talked about how they really need to figure out how to transition that defense into offense, but they're doing a pretty good job of keeping the ball out of the net.
Yeah, their defense was fine. It just really it's a two-part game. You got to be able to score and defend, and they did half of that really well. When it came to the other half, targeting issues, just that's just worked on a free play. Just get a little bit more warmed up, practice a little bit more. But 2, a lot of it comes down to communication, because there's very staggered solo hits that really, when you isolate players by themselves in man-to-man defense, you have to be able to blossom over the defender, and that comes through mechanics. Right now, Capstone don't quite have the individual skill to be able to win those challenges individually, so you need to find the teamwork a little bit better in the offensive third on the other side of the field. They were unsuccessful with a lot of that, but near the end of the game, even with that miss, we saw them getting better at popping the ball up and centering it for their teammates, something that was different from the start of the series. So there are highlights here and silver linings. Just need them to be a little bit more warmed up, but they do have a second life, which is always big.
Yeah, it is big, and exactly like you said. I mean, they had that redirect chant that was pretty close. Not the easiest shot by any means, right? You've got to keep the power on it to get that saved. You've got to hit it perfectly, and then also that one shot that they put a little bit too center of the goal. I think trying to play it a little bit too safe ends up biting them there at the end. But still, a lot of good to take away from it. But Mektos Esports coming in as strong as we thought they would. They came out, they win that 2-0, they take care of business. They're not going to care what the scorelines were in the games as they move forward. They're happy to be moving forward in the bracket there on the winner side, as they're going to go and try to play to get out of the bracket here in the top side. But before we move on in a little bit, we want to thank some of our sponsors here. Take your candy game to the next level with a pack of Mike and Ike Original Fruits or Mike and Ike Mega Mix. The delicious, fruity, chewy flavors will help fuel your game and power you to keep you playing at your best. Power up with Mike and Ike. And normally, when we have Audible here, he tends to always have Mike and Ike on deck to show for this, Spaceman. So
of course.
A little disappointed in you, man. You're not bringing your Mike and Ikes to the table here today.
Listen, I ran. I had a bunch of them for the Winter Championship. I've run out. You know why? Because they're so good. They're so good. So we thank you, Mike and Ike, for continuing to support Nurse Street Gaming, and as well continuing to support the Rocket League scene. Rocket League is huge, and the Tier 2 scene and Tier 3 scene are even bigger. But just a quick update. We look at the B side of groups. I mean, you got Quanta Black taking down Mirage 2-0, clean sweep. Leafs taking down Selling Bread 2-1. So they will meet each other in the second round. Again, best of threes until you get to the upper side of the bracket in the grand finals. Selling Bread, Mirage still alive, still kicking, and have a chance to play each other. Team EXE win 2-0 over Pro Hub. They move on, currently up 1-0 over Blicky. So we're already moving through the bracket quickly at a very brisk pace tonight, and I have a feeling that we're going to get some pretty interesting and intense Rocket League down the pipeline.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to hit one more game, I think, before we get into that upper bracket, that final part of the bracket, the playoffs, to see who wins the lion's share of that $1,000. But before we move into that, we're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to you guys. Welcome back, guys, to the Nerd Stream Gamers Rocket League Summer Champs qualifier for $1,000 here. We are speeding through this bracket. We're getting into the qualifying games now for the playoffs, which, again, are going to have 6 teams in them. 2 teams going to have a bye. So, I mean, we're going to be going through this quickly today, Spaceman.
We really are. And again, it's kind of a quick update. We have Mirage, who unfortunately will have to be dropping out, which means that they would drop to the lower bracket, and they were awaiting Selling Bread. Selling Bread just gets the automatic win 2-0. So they now move to round 2 of the lower side, and they will await the loser of Leafs and Quantum Black. Quantum Black about to get underway. In Group C, if I can read correctly, Team XC is currently up 1-0 over Blicky. So that one, again, quickly going. And if Blicky drop, they will meet Organic Applesauce. And Pro Hub had a similar situation like Mirage. So we've seen a couple of teams have to move out quickly, which just means we would keep the bracket going. But we stay back here on the main stream with Mektos and Stockton, a very huge matchup. We talked a lot about Stockton and Mektos in the pregame. It's only fair that we get to see them play each other. And I think this might be one of the best matchups we see tonight.
Yeah, this definitely will be, and this is a matchup that, you know, if things go the way that we anticipate, might be seen again in the playoffs. But right now, Mektos Esports starting off this series the way they started off the last one, which is with early goals and early presence here, just putting the other team on their back foot. And, you know, it's exactly what you expect from them.
Yeah, and you're going to get to matchups like this where obviously Stockton is a well-known name, not only in collegiate esports, but in Rocket League specifically at this level. I expect this matchup to be a little bit more cohesive across the board for both teams, right? There are more stakes here. Obviously, winner of this continues to move on to the upside of the bracket, but you're not coming into this without knowing who your opponents are. These two organizations, well, Mektos himself, they have history against one another, and Stockton specifically, who's been around forever when it comes to competitive Rocket League, there are going to be some tendencies and idiosyncrasies that you pick up on. I'm expecting both teams to capitalize on that.
I am, as well as Dark. Again, been in the scene for a while, trying to get something going, and Top Chief can't quite get there, but already you can see, I think, a little bit of a difference in the play styles in this game and the last one. This one's a little bit more high-flying. It feels like, you know, the last game, a lot of the game was played on the ground, played very possession-heavy, but this time they're throwing the ball up in the air and saying, you know what, I think we trust ourselves and our speed to go out there and compete with you guys on Mektos Esports and beat you to these balls as they do right here. And that's the way that they're comfortable playing the game. And I think it's a really good philosophy. You know, if this is the way you want to play the game, you want to play high flying, you want to keep the ball in there, you want to trust your aerial speed and ability to take advantage when they miss a challenge, then go for it.
I think the biggest question really is just who holds on to possession the longest. We have traded blows back and forth. It very much has been volleyball. Finally, Top Cheese will try to slow it, but unfortunately, you're leaving Dark in a 1v3 situation, having to fly back in transition. Mill will escape around a couple. Possession back to Stockton. They use the sidewall pretty effectively to start this one. It comes down to big challenges in 50s like that, which once more will kick out to Dark. Looking for the double tap off the backboard. It's there, but Mill comes out quickly from the defensive hold and is able to punch it downfield.
Yeah, punching this one downfield. And Mektos Esports, again, playing this kind of style where they're cool to trade blows back and forth like we were talking about. Just punt the ball down the field, keep it in the other side, and they've got the goal lead. What an adjustment for Mill to make that shot. And Leaky's he's going to put it up towards the top. Mektos with the follow, and Leaks tries to follow it up and pop it down, but I think it may have accidentally put it into the defender, and Dark gets it out the other way. A shot's going to come on, and wow, what an threading a needle here, man. I didn't even see that there was a hole there. I thought it was covered from the angle we had, but Dark creates this play, and Bush just squeezes it in between the post and Mektos.
And what do we say in the last series in like game 1 or 2? It was very much of the best time to score after your opponent has tried to score as well. You just fly down the field and you catch them off guard. And I was thinking as that play was transpiring, the worst possible situation is you get so confident in your ability to put the ball towards the net, everyone pushes up and you get burned on the counterattack. You don't really get burned in transition, but you do in the defensive setup, and they were not able to turtle up on defense, so the goalie had to fly out. He gets bumped. Regardless, like you said, thread the needle, tied 1-1, plenty of time in game 1. Still a best of 3, but I have a feeling this one could go the distance. We might be seeing a full 3 games.
We may be seeing that here. Now, you know, I'm kind of hoping so. This is the best Rocket League that you're going to see. I mean, this is phenomenal players on both sides as they're trying to push towards the net again. Leaky's trying to get that one going as Mill going to come for a challenge here to slow it down and allow Mektos to pick it up with some space. A great little touch from him. Kind of like a fake flip into it there to keep it going, and now Leaky's is going to have a chance to circle back around on this one, play it up, looks for the 50 down, and Mektos is going to keep this one in the corner, try to keep some possession here into the Stockton half, keep them back in, you know, against their wall really with no boost.
Just doing a great job of not only just staying involved on the play, but also getting physical when he's off ball. So the offense is still working and the gears are turning, but it has to come through a little bit more of a high caliber shot. Not a lot of chances. You have to take advantage of any open window. So far, the defense for Stockton has really clamped down, especially at midfield. When they get turtled up, they do a great job of maintaining boost and having those resources available to be able to skate. And now you're looking for a little bit better of a hold on the possession as it reels around. Mill going to try to center it once more. Mektos was thinking about it, but instead will have to fall back towards the goal line. He will fill in, and Leakies will run point through the corner. Another shot down towards the side. Mektos able to keep it up. Once more, a shot, and a great shot from Bless. I mean, that really, from the elbow, it's not only just a tough angle, but sneaking it over Mektos on the challenge. You don't know how much boost he has, and it doesn't matter. He puts it right over the defense. That is a high-quality shot.
Yeah, right there. I mean, not only skimming it on the inside of the post, but just under the crossbar. I mean, the most difficult spot to hit from the shot, but he goes for it anyway, and he's able to give his team the lead there. So a great mechanical skill there coming out from Bus to show his ability to shoot and strike the net, as Dark's going to get a challenge here to keep this one going. But Mills up over the top. This is going to be difficult. Bus has got to make contact here, and he does. Gets this to the wall. Dark can't keep it going, and it may be a chance, but no, the speed right here. The chance for the side, but Dark, man, a tough angle on that one, but, you know, that could have put the game away there had he been able to put it in. But the fake, he's got another chance, but it's going to be saved away, and you can see Stockton now starting to pop off and feel themselves, feel the confidence that they have in their team.
I think Dark, obviously, he was trying to hold the reset for as long as possible. I don't think he actually got it. He only got the front two wheels on the ball, so he didn't get the reset. Therefore, he just kind of had to let the ball fall and die, but you're still burning time, so you can kind of play that and just shield it on a 50. Now, you're just looking to put it back down to the earth. 3 seconds to go. A shot towards the net. That one will ice it, and that means that Stockton will take game one in pretty dominant fashion. Sure, it was back and forth for the first couple of minutes, but, I mean, as this one went down the stretch, Stockton were unrelenting with their offense at midfield.
Yeah, they really were, and they did a really good job of showing, again, the chemistry that this team has. Like you said, Stockton has had a phenomenal esports program for a very long time, and you can see the consistency that these guys have playing together. A lot of those plays, a lot of the trust that they have. You know, typically people think when they think chemistry is hitting each other's hoods with the ball, making great passes, and that is part of it. But a lot of it is the trust that you have in your teammates. You're going to see some of that at high-level play anyway, but you could see that when it speed races to a ball in the air, they're trusting their teammate to read it and get there before anyone else. They're cheating upfield still. They're not having to feel too much behind them because they know that they can handle that. And that really, I think, was a lot of the difference there towards the end of the game.
Yeah, that's a huge point to hit on, which is something that a lot of pro teams still struggle with, trusting your teammates, and that really is self-evident in communication. When you listen to pro comms, you can tell if someone is really in charge of their team, whether it's an IGL or whether or not you're just filling an appropriate lane. But constantly staying confident in the comms, calm, cool, collected, but also trusting your teams to do the right thing, because many times you'll see pro teams who their backline defense is abysmal. They don't trust each other to be able to get the big save or be able to help facilitate action on the field, and they start double committing and making small mistakes that cost them. So yeah, 100% agree. Stockton trusting each other and easily just different dimensions to their offense currently. They look like they're a little bit ahead of Mektos, and that has to be through communication, but Mektos have a game to be able to come back. Will they do it? I think Stockton are in a pretty good position to be able to take this 2-0.
Yeah, I think they are as well, and I think that I was right there with you when this started out. I thought this would be very close and go 3 games here, but the way that Stockton closed that game has got me sold on them, the way that they're playing right now. So if they can keep that up here, have a very good chance, because really the only goal that came out there from that Mektos esports squad happened in the first 15 seconds. Was the result of a favorable kickoff, really, for the most part, when you score that fast, right? You get good possession, and you just kind of keep it going before the other team can get a lot of boost going. And trying to do that again right here. But for the most of the game, they didn't have a lot of threatening chances.
Yeah, they really didn't. And it's got to come through more creative offense. But that really is a factor when you're able to establish that midfield line and you can control the boost. You don't want to get boost starved. Yeah, sure, we say it a billion times, but it's true. Being a present at midfield, whether or not you're directing traffic, but finding ways just to continue to put yourself involved on the field, it is a big factor of Rocket League that many teams struggle with. Quick update in Group C. Team EXE wins 2-0 over their matchup in Blicky. Blicky dropped down to lower round 2. They will play Organic Applesauce. So just small little updates here and there. Selling Bread and Mirage have yet to play, but that's currently where we sit. And again, Capstone wins their matchup 2-0 over Venom. So Capstone, bouncing back very quickly from their starting loss.
Yeah, they are, and doing a great job right there. And I think that's a team that I expect to have a chance to make it here in the bottom of this bracket, but they're going to have a tough time because of the group that we have right here. Mektos Esports, Stockton, and Capstone. One of those teams can't make it out, and these two teams right now are already meeting in the final. Mektos scoring first again right here. The speed up over the top and almost getting there on the back end is Bust, but not quite enough boost to be able to make that save. And again, as we've seen in every match so far that Mektos has played, Mektos Esports draws first blood, but can they capitalize on it here?
Yeah, your reward for winning your matchup, Capstone, is you get to play the loser of this series. So good luck. Just make sure you're warmed up. I'm sure you'll do fine. But again, Stockton have been in similar situations before, like game one, like you just mentioned. Mektos able to find one early, but we haven't seen a lot of high scoring from Mektos. It's very much just been one goal affairs. It was like that in the first series against Capstone. Now pressure begins to mount for Stockton, though plenty of time to be able to find something. Here comes Mektos on the breakaway chance, screaming downfield and just kicks that to the backboard. No one else there to follow up, and it looks like another chance kind of goes by the wayside as they had momentum upfield, but as quickly as you give the ball away, you better be prepared to go up for the read. Unfortunately, no one was there, and Dark looking for the double tap, but it will not connect.
Yeah, and, soft double tap right there to try to keep a little bit of possession, but everybody gets caught out right here. This is not the midfield defense, the midfield presence that we're used to from Stockton. You get two players caught up right here, getting drawn to sleep by Leakies as he comes up over the top of them, gets a great little touch up over it, and then just puts it home over the top of Top Cheese. And so, that's the weakness right there that just is now starting to show itself. They were trusting themselves well, they were getting back, but then they got lulled a little bit to sleep and stayed around too long in that midfield.
Yeah, that individual little flip right there, again, just huge what small plays like that can do for your offense, because again, it forces attention to the other side. Dark trying to do the same thing, floats it. Here comes Top Cheese, squeezing the angle, but can't get the upper 90. But when players are starting to pop off, like Bus just did, with the recovery, the restabilization in midair, and the recognition just to put the ball down on the upper 90, I mean, this is a ridiculous read from the ceiling.
Yeah, it's a double tap, but off the ceiling. That you don't see those at least like that as often. And great recovery from him. The ability to just come back and hit that, like you said, into the upper 90 with the balls in the air. I mean, that's not a practice shot. No one goes into training packs and practices hitting soft double taps off the ceiling like that. That is just pure skill and ability and trusting your mechanics and the ability to adapt to the situation.
And again, you can't really practice that. That's just you either have it or you don't. You get lucky maybe sometimes in games to go for the shot, but kind of going back to that point where when you're individually able to sell, especially past the backline defense, that one dangerous, it causes the rest of your opponents to draw their attention to you, so you get more creative, you get more chances and more opportunities with free space to be able to move the offense through the offensive third on the other side of the field. You got 2 minutes to go. Stockton able to get a goal back, but now again, can they put another one on the board, as Mektos found two, but since then, it seems like the game has shifted a little bit, and Stockton have put more pressure really into the corners and really towards the backboard, which has paid out. We got a lot of time on the clock for them to bring this back.
Yeah, definitely a lot of time here, and they're starting to get that presence that we saw towards the end of game one. As the out of boost, Top Cheese was going to have it, but Bus is going to be there to clean it up anyway for him, and this is a great little touch from him right here in the middle. He beats it up over the top of one, adjusts to it to just get it over Leakies, and then bam, Bus is there, trusting his teammate yet again to get to that touch, get that ball to the backboard, beats everyone to it to put it home.
It's just great recognition, and again, communication in those comms to be able to say, hey, I'm setting it up for you, come finish the deal. And plays like that just, again, will put you in games and keep you in games as you go down the stretch. Wonderful read from Stockton. They tie it up 2-2. And now we look at Mektos and we shift our perspective and say, okay, we've seen Stockton bounce back, and now we need to see everyone on this squad contribute and facilitate in a way that gives you the favorable lead you had to start this. They were up 2-0. They give away 2 goals. Now they need to respond. Dark fighting a 50 will ricochet around. Another follow-up shot there. A demo to the corner. Can you keep it alive? Stockton having to play defense and allow full strength to come back. Now getting bumped. Mektos circling around. Kicked out once more. Possession back to Mektos Esports as Milk comes off the ceiling. Look for the double tap. Won't work.
No, it won't work here. And a great beat on this one to get that ball shoved out from Dark as Mektos comes up to the ceiling and tries to find some momentum towards Mill. Mill with the change-up shot, hits it soft towards the net, almost fools everyone, but the pressure not over just yet. Mektos with plenty of boost, gets the flip, goes up high with it, saved away by Dark, but shot towards the net. It's going to be finished off here. Mill is going to be able to finally put it home, and this is the kind of sustained pressure I think we were expecting to see from this squad, as we saw their names on the sheet today. The ability to keep the ball in this blue half, using your physical presence, using your mechanics to keep it towards the backboard and the corners, and just keep peppering the net until the goal line defense finally breaks.
It was the same shot that Stockton hit just a minute ago, but instead, Mektos Esports used the corner as a second teammate, and they self-serve it, and Mill doing a great job of being able to finish the play. Now, 15 seconds to go, and Stockton tie it up. Mektos tie up the series. I got a feel on this one again. We'll be going the distance. We got a breakaway chance now. That one is still dangerous, and it almost looked good. There's a demo, 4 seconds now. Mektos, all he needs to do is just put it towards the net. Free real estate in the back, and it means we got game 3.
Game 3 coming out and great. So we saw a lot of answers to questions we had about Mektos Esports, I think, in that game.
Yeah.
Which is, one, can they come out as strong as they have been doing and maybe get a little bit better of a lead? And they did. And 2, can they come back whenever they get down, or whenever a team comes back and looks like they have the momentum on them? Because so far today, they haven't done a really good job of that. Once they've gotten hit in the face one time, they've kind of just been taking it and been taking the blows. This time, they recovered. They gave it right back to them and kept the pressure up towards the end of the game.
Yeah, you got an assist across the board. Mektos, Leakies, and Mill all getting involved in the action. Everyone getting an assist and at least a shot. So the teamwork is there currently for Mektos Esports. And that, again, was something that was lacking in game 1, but they bring it out and they tie up the series. And now for Stockton, there's not a question of whether they can bounce back in games. We know they can. They're able to come back from a 2-0 deficit. But can they get ahead and stay ahead? Because so far they've had to battle back in both their matches. That's going to be the big key. But for Mektos, I think you just continue to play this one the same way you've done it so far. It's worked. Sure, game 1 didn't go your way, but let's get into game 3 and let's see if Mektos can just continue that rhythm as a team, finding one another, getting everyone involved. And when everyone's getting involved, again, it just opens up the offense, so many more dimensions that are accessible, and we'll see if they can keep that going.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it starts with that physicality that Mektos showed right there at the end of the game. And, a lot of times people don't realize just how important that is. When you're talking about this level of plays, this shot's going to come towards the net. The mechanical difference between these squads at this high level at this point in Rocket League is usually not so significant that you can just rely on mechanical skill to beat everything. So really the huge difference is communication, teamwork, making sure that you're in the right spot and getting your rotations down. So demos, bumps, really mess up those, and you have to be able to adjust as a team, which has some mechanics involved to it, but it's also so much of your game sense and knowing where to be when there's one less player on the field, when there's a player out of position. And Mektos Esports is doing a really good job of taking that to Stockton, and Stockton has dealt with it pretty well, but for the most part, it's resulted in goals for Mektos Esports.
Yeah, the best players in the world, sure, they have great mechanics, but one thing that they always have is spatial awareness, the understanding of where everyone is on the field. You look at players like Monkey Moon, Turbo, Garrett, what they're able to do with the recognition and the understanding of how the game is played, not only just on the mechanical level, but the fundamental level where players need to be where they are and where they will be. That is where players really start breaking away from the rest of the pack. So if you're Mektos or Stockton, that's one thing we've seen them utilize quite well, but that's what has led to a lot of their quick goals, especially with double taps towards the post, is just understanding where the defense is, where you can fit in, and what is accessible to you in that moment. Nice little flip from Mektos, but he's all alone, and that means that Stockton have a chance here to clear the ball away. So far, they will, and Dark takes it out.
Yeah, Dark taking it out here and getting it up over the top to create some room for Top Cheese to come in and get a 50-50 attempt here as Dark plays this middle off of Mill, and now Leake's going to get a great little read on this one, uses his speed, flips into it, but he's unfortunately going to put it straight down into Bus. I think he wanted to hit that ball a little bit lower, but had to just go as quickly as he could towards it. And this is going to be set up. Mektos, maybe a chance, but a great read right there from Dark to be able to hit that one away. That's not an easy ball to hit.
That's a great challenge. Cheese just gets it to midfield, which, again, just buys your defense time on transition to get boost. I think that Cheese might have gotten the midfield grab as well. So resources here. Dark, that's going to waterfall down. It will. And it slowly rolls around as Mill will clear it out. But there are chances here. They're really getting a lot of power behind these hits towards the backboard. Nice bump off the play by Bus. They have to get possession back because each time it looks like they're moving upfield, Mektos are wasting no time getting the ball and just pushing it to the other side.
Yeah, and I want to point out, we haven't seen, the offense from Stockton we'd like to see in this game, but, up to this point, they have kept it scoreless, and this is the longest Mektos Esports has been without scoring a goal. They typically score pretty quickly, so for me, that's a win in the Stockton category, right? You dealt with the early offense that we've seen from Mektos Esports well. Now can you bring that late game presence that you had, especially in game 1 into this one? Can you find the momentum you need to keep it going forward? But Mectos Esports is doing a good job of not panicking without that early lead and doing a great job of just kind of playing it down, playing their game like you're talking about that they need to do. And the ball's been kind of going back and forth, but not a lot of really concrete chances either way.
I mean, the ball has spent, I would say, the 60% of the time almost at full speed down the field. They have been getting a lot of power behind these shots, which again just shows you that the targeting is there for both teams. They feel comfortable, that they're hitting the ball cleanly, which is big. But now we need to see if they can change up the pace and really slow it down. Can they find the off timings on defense where you change how quickly you move upfield with the ball, you change how quickly you pass it to one another? That's going to be the question as Bus circles back in. Nice recovery, but unfortunately, teammate was not there to help out. Somehow keeping it alive, somehow with no boost. Finding a way to put that ball back in play. Almost gets an extra bump to lead way to the first goal. Here comes Dark. Shot on target and leaves it to the opposite post. You can't cover that much ground, and Mectos Esports got caught out. And that is just a great placement and a great read from Dark.
Yeah, Top Cheese right here. I got to say, that was, incredible control right here. And takes the soft touch on it. Recognizes that he's going to get the speed at least to put a challenge on it against the Mectos attempt to clear. And gets a great 50 up. And Dark's able to put it home. And there goes Stockton. Again, we've talked about, they've been playing from behind the whole series. We asked, can they get a first goal and play with the lead here and see what they can do? And they've done that. It's late in the game, but they've done it. They've got a 1-0 lead here now. Can they secure it? As this one's going to go towards the net, but Bus is there. Shot's going to come out. Maybe an equalizer. No, saved away. And now Mill in the corner with not a lot of boost, trying to buy some time for Stevie sees Mectos. Mectos up towards the crossbar, but he can't quite get it home. And, the presence for Mectos Esports is here, just like it was in the last game, but they're not finding that final touch to put the ball home.
This might be that. Oh, Leaks. So close. He had more boost. Maybe he escapes around the defender, gets the nose of his Fennec right in front of the ball. That's a goal. 22 seconds to go. It's still doable, but once more, Stockton really putting foot down on the gas and just letting this ball fly upfield. Mectos need to be able to reel this one in. They kick it to the sidewall. Dark comes in for the challenge. He wins it. Top Cheese once more 50s it. And these kills are so detrimental. 6 seconds to go. Leaks going to carry out of his own half. Plenty of room to work. Another challenge for Bus. This one touches. It's done. It's kept up. There's a shot.
No,
and
my
Mectos
Lord.
is able to tie it up.
I cannot believe that we're going to overtime here. Bus gets the touch to the corner, and this one's up. You think Top Cheese is at least going to make some contact to throw this ball off for Mectos, but he can't quite get there. Mectos, not fooled at all by the challenge, recognizes he's not going to get there, and just puts it straight into the net. We have overtime in a series that could not be any closer.
I mean, of all the ways to score,
oh my
are
gosh.
you kidding me? Of course it ends as quickly as it begins. We made a comment that the goals haven't come early like they have all series. Well, in the past 5 seconds, we've had 2 at the most pivotal times. Top Cheese gets the very best of the OT, and they win it. So Stockton's sigh of relief. He gave up a 0-second goal. You get one back in the OT. Golden goals always go the way of the team that's more composed, and they stay true to themselves. They win it 2-1.
Phenomenal stuff right there. And I think, again, Stockton just showed me a lot of answers to questions I had. They came in, they got a goal lead to start the game out, and then in overtime, they get really a kickoff goal, which had been Nectos's, kind of specialty. They'd been really scoring there in the early parts of the game off of kickoffs, getting a little bit of momentum going forward. But here in overtime, you see Stockton getting a kickoff to go their way and executing off of that, getting a nice shot there towards the backboard, keeping them without a boost. So just showing a multifaceted gameplay here from this squad that's going to make them difficult to beat as we move forward into the playoffs.
Yeah, I did not expect the OT to go as quickly as it did. I mean, once more, it's difficult on kickoff goals sometimes to be able to read that, especially in OT when everyone's just getting quickly like a quick breather and saying, okay, just don't make a mistake, and then you lose the kickoff. It's heartbreaking. But Stockton showing composure, calm, cool, collected all the way throughout. They beat Mectos 2-1. They move on to round 3 near the grand final, and then we got Capstone playing Mectos once more. So you get a rematch there for Group A. For Group B, Selling Bread and Mirage, I believe that should just be Selling Bread moving on, but so. Quantum Black will be playing Selling Bread in Group B, and in Group C, as Leafs have advanced as well, Group C, Team EXE 1-2 over Blicky. They await the winner of Blicky or Organic Applesauce. So we wait for a couple of more to kick off, but I mean, listen, Group A has been exciting. We had Stockton, we had Mectos, 2-0s, 2-1s, and now we get a huge rematch, Mectos versus Capstone. I would love to know if Capstone changed up the way they play, but I have a feeling that series might go the distance as well.
Yeah, that I think could be a very, very close series, and especially with Capstone getting a little bit more warm. And you hate to see one of those teams have to go out here in the group stage, but that's unfortunately what's going to have to happen here. But we're not going to know the answer to that until later. And until then, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with some more Dirt Street Gamers summer qualifier action after the break, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back, guys, to the Nerd Street Gamers Rocket League Summer Champs qualifier for $1,000 here. We're getting into our last games here for the group stage, and I think we're going to be sticking with the same teams we've been seeing today here, Spaceman, but a very conscious effort for us because these have been some phenomenal games and series we've seen so far.
Yeah, they really have, and it just means that we get not only more of it, but we get a rematch. We got Mektos and Capstone coming up next, and this is kind of sometimes how brackets work, especially with the limited number of teams we have a sample size of. Mektos, who has been the interesting storyline. They took their first series against Capstone. They won it 2-0. They play Stockton all the way down to the distance. It was very close. Stockton scraped by and they survived, which means that Mektos now come down and they play for their qualifiers. If they beat Capstone here, they qualify for the playoff bracket, which comes up in about half an hour, and it's 6 teams that will make it there, and it's a single elim, but all of those are best of 5 now. They just need to win a best of 3. But for Capstone, I mean, this is some great redemption time. This is a great chance to be able to knock Mektos out and qualify yourself for the rest of tonight.
Yeah, it really is, and this is the way to go. I mean, Capstone here, I think that they want to get a revenge against this Mektos esports squad. They probably wouldn't have it any other way. Don't want to try their luck against Stockton. I think that they felt like they played them pretty well. I mean, it was 2-0, but, you know, very close games throughout, so I think that they feel like they have a good chance here. And Mektos esports looking to continue the confidence they had in that first series against Capstone and try to put this away and get into that final playoffs bracket, as Mill is going to take this one into the corner. Puts a lot of power on that. Mektos is going to get there, but it's going to be met by Gino.
When we were watching the end of Capstone in their series against Mektos esports, what Capstone did really well was they were able to pop the ball up to one another and kind of self-serve it to teammates. The targeting and the accuracy was really the big question. That was the one thing that Capstone struggled with. But if they've had time to continue to warm up and practice a little bit, get some scrims in while they basically waited and have moved throughout the bracket, there is a chance, and there's more than a favorable chance, that they can send this series the distance. I just really want to see how they commit to the offense down the field and how they continue to put shots towards the net if they can get that accuracy under control.
Yeah, I think that is going to be the key, is the accuracy, because they had good rotations. They had very solid defense against this offense that Mektos esports puts out. So can they finish off the chances they had? Because Mektos esports gave them really only 2 or 3 chances there throughout the game, but you got to put at least 1 or 2 of those home, and they were having some difficulty doing that, especially in that game 2 in the first series. But here, trying to get things going is Kaiju going to take this around the edge towards the middle. What a pitch down, and he outplays the defense here. What a phenomenal play from him. He rolls this ball up into the corner on the wall, and then he pinches it down to get it past Leakies, who's thinking that he's going to go backward with it.
That is one of the best pinches I've seen, and I've seen a lot of Rocket League. I mean, that is an incredibly difficult and zero margin of error type shot. The window of opportunity there very much is perfect placement, and they get a kickoff win with it. Gino making it 2-0. Capstone wasting a lot of time on the early start of game 1, getting out ahead quickly.
Yeah, they really are. That's a great 50-50 right there. Just getting your whole car behind the ball, and Gino recognizes when it pops out, gets it on his hood, and puts it home. And now Mektos esports, again, they haven't been playing from behind very much today, just in that game 3 there against Stockton, really. And this is going to be one of the first times we've seen them without the lead. So can they do this here, as Leakies is going to come up with this one, and Mill towards the backboard. Now a chance for Mektos, but it's going to be met well. Great defense again, as always, from Capstone here to just get this one out with some challenges. And a double tap to the corner. Kai Jr. able to get this one. I thought he was going to shoot it, but he finds the space to get that speedy double.
This read is just almost as perfect as possible. And again, the commitment on the ball, right? The quick decision making, letting your reactions kind of blossom, and more importantly, trusting your teammates to make that play. 3-0, and Mektos esports, I gotta feel that in those comms they're a little bit stunned off the start. I mean, you did not expect Capstone to come out this prepared, this warmed up, and the targeting issues and the accuracy issues that we had harped on early in their series tonight have not been there. They have been executing and capitalizing on every opportunity.
They have, and making the proper decisions, like right there, the read to not shoot the ball towards the net, but instead go for the execution of the double tap to the sidewall. So taking these shots with confidence, taking the chances that they've had confidently and trying to keep it going. As the shot's going to come on, Mektos should finish this one off. No, it's going to be saved away by Gino, and there we go. Kai Jr. is going to get this one out towards the edge, and Capstone, this right here was another one of the weaknesses that we saw against Mektos esports in that first game. You know, they could stop the shot on the back end, but could they get the space back out to get some offense going, or at least relieve that defensive pressure? And so far in this game, they've done a really good job of exactly that.
And we got 1:53 to go. Plenty of time. Mill gonna try to sling it towards the net. Leakies is there. Pass there. Denied once more and blocked out. And these quick takeaways for Capstone have been working dividends early. I mean, we asked them to kind of work on their accuracy and find at least a goal. So far, they've found multiple. It's 3-0 with 1:30 to go. Mektos Esports, I mean, you got 2 games to give, but going down 0-1 to a Capstone roster that looks this confident in such a hard start to the day. I mean, this is about as great of a rebound and revenge tour as you could ask for, and Capstone are in a position to be able to get a quick lead on the series.
Yeah, they really are, and they're doing a great job here. This is going to be played low by Gino, trying to avoid that challenge, but Mill picks it up anyway. Kaiju gets this to the middle. Gino's there, and a pass back to Kaiju. Look at the decision-making there to put it right back on his teammate's hood. That created so much space for the team and allowed them to get some rotations going, but is it going to matter here as the shot comes on? Mill gets saved away by Kai Jr., and you can see already, though, Capstone just continuing that stalwart defense that we saw earlier today from him.
And these challenges just consistently on the point of contact. I feel like I'm watching a CRL team. It's been a complete 180 from the type of offense we've seen and the type of defense we were seeing in their first series today. This is a completely different Capstone team. And it's just nice to watch. They are quickly getting into their transitions. They're not wasting time with the communication. They're finding one another on the infield. They're confident in their challenges. They're getting to the ball immediately. They're not giving Mektos a lot of room to move on the offense and kind of let the offense develop and open up. They're quickly disrupting the traffic. 17 seconds. We had 1:20 on the clock and a lot of time for Mektos to find something. Since then, it's been 1 or 2 shots and takeaways for Capstone. They're going to win game 1, and that was a very, very big win.
Yeah, huge win from them, and a statement win, right? They didn't come into this and just kind of trade blows back and forth and come out on top in the end. They came out and they made a statement early with an early goal, and then they continued on that. They kept pressing. They got a second goal and then a third goal, really extending their lead, really getting their accuracy down, hitting some mechanically tough shots and reads, and I mean, really just doing a good job of just showing this Mektos Esports squad that, they're not going to take it so easily to them again.
Yeah, and I believe we'll be seeing Leaky's changing his car. He had 2 saves, 4 shots, so doing his job on the defensive end. And there were shots there for Mektos, but they weren't as quick. They were a little bit more developed. It took a little bit longer to kind of get the offense down there on the other side of the field. But I mean, Capstone played that about as well as you could. There really was nothing that was blatant, that was flagrant. Everything they did was precise, with intent, and well executed. There were really no mistakes from Capstone. That was just a very impressive bounce back from the series they had earlier.
Right, and I love what they did. They took what they had, the foundation of that strong defense of keeping the ball out of the net, but really that's pretty much all they had there in game 1. And then they turned that into, all right, we can figure out how to get the ball down the field. We can get some long clears. We can get a little bit of momentum going forward. And then they said, okay, now we're also going to add on the fact that we're going to hit our shots when we have the chances to, and just started, just putting all those pieces together to make the team so much more complete here in this first game of the series.
And they're filtering the offense of Mektos quite well. They're getting the ball out of the goal line and moving it downfield quickly. So the offense of Mektos doesn't have time to develop. What a redirect from Kai Jr. Like, it's plays like this in transition that are so hard to capitalize on, but when you do, you have to force the defense to respect you. And this is just a ridiculous read. This would have been impossible just 30 minutes ago. I don't know what happened to this team, but all of a sudden they've turned up.
Yeah, that was phenomenal, and you could see that situation happening right there, where they weren't capitalizing on it in the first series, where you got to stop on the back end, you get a touch, but can you find that outlet pass to keep it going? And they did right there, as they're looking for an infield pass here, and it goes a little bit wide on the shot. But now finding those outlets and then hitting the shot on the outlet is just such a drastic change from what we saw at Mektos Esports. It seemed like they're kind of shocked. They're a little dumbfounded. They don't really have an answer for it at all right now.
What do you do? Other than obviously scoring to kind of slow them down, speed really has been there for Capstone. You have to find a way to be able to match that tempo if you are Mektos Esports. Isolated hits currently on offense are not working. Ball take it away once more to Capstone. Mill will pop it up and follow through with the hit. Triple, almost able to wrap that one around. That would have been probably the highlight goal of the day had he executed on the final blow. But still, it's even plays like that will look threatening, where it's just a completely different Capstone team, and now the demos begin to pick up, so the physicality there for Mektos. Speaking of who, off the backboard, Mill off target, and Kai Jr. will get the ball out.
Yeah, and again, just phenomenal play from these guys. As they're keeping the ball out of the net here. They're keeping it out from the middle as Mill tries to get it going, and Mektos has to jump from the midfield to try to get this one in for Leakey's to hit a shot on, but he's not going to be able to get there. Now some space coming out for Capstone. Ball's going to be raced to by Kai Jr., but he hits the brakes, and Leakey's pops the demo off in time to try to stymie out this attack, but it's still going for a minute.